Good morning, good morning to you, you. Good morning, good morning to you. We are getting right to it today, right to it today. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Daring Dialogues Black Table Talk Edition. I am your host, Shantae Charles. I hope that you're having a great and wonderful day. You're probably having a better day than I am. Let's see. I'll do that right there. Good morning, good morning, good morning. So I woke up this morning and I want to address this first before we get into this topic. I woke up this morning to a tag in a message that was an insult to me, basically saying that the person was displeased that I used their comment to teach on actually what we're going to talk about right now. And I apologize to that person. I'm not going to say their name. As a matter of fact, um, I bought their book, and I was going to read aloud from it and uh, use it in some of my teaching, but I'm not going to be doing that either. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take it back to the store. um, because I can understand when somebody has an issue with me, and that's fine. This is social media. People tend to have issues all the time. But when you insult me, that's a little bit different. So, because I have already invested in this person, I will be taking their work back to the store and getting a refund because sometimes we have to do that. As far as social media, I do want to say this. Under fair use, if you post something, okay, if you post something and it is public, under fair use, people can take your writing and they can teach from whatever you posted. That's as long as it's fair use. As long as they're not monetizing off of it, and most of my posts are not monetized. I don't monetize other people's work. Okay? I only do my original content. On Facebook, you can control whether or not you're monetizing posts or not. And so if it's not my original content, I turn off monetization. That's just me. I don't know what other people do, but if it's not my original content, I don't monetize it. That's just, again, my policy. All right. So if you see me screenshot, people have screenshotted my work. People have screenshotted things that I've said, quoted. People have clipped my videos and put them somewhere else for education purposes. Good morning. I have no problem with that. But because this person did have a problem with that, even though what I did was under fair use, I took it down. So if there's ever a time that somebody comes to me and says, hey, I don't want you to use my information as an example or in your teachings, I will remove it. I've done it before. But what I won't do is I won't then tolerate you trying to call me out of my name or disparage me. Those things don't work for me. All right. So I have no problem course correcting, apologizing to people. If I have offended anyone, I'm good on that. But at the same time, you're not going to be disrespectful to me because we just don't do that in this space. All right. So today I wanted to talk about the post that I put up. And for that post, I actually created a Meta AI image because, again, I did not want to pull anybody's original photograph for this discussion. The post was about us as the merchant class for Black Americans. If you are a Black business owner, you would be considered a part of the merchant class. Now, there's a lot of conversation happening around the DEI pullbacks and rollbacks. Some companies are getting rid of them and scrapping them altogether. Some companies are rebranding them under a different name, but keeping the ethos or keeping the original intent of their programs. Part of that is being done because they do not want to start facing lawsuits from the current administration. so we can understand why some of them are rebranding. Yes, they still want to support people, but at the same time, they don't want to go through what most people feel is unnecessary lawsuits. All right. And then, of course, we saw the information come out with Black business owners coming out to say, hey, if we are in these major brands, if we are in these major stores, and you all pull your support back from us, we are under contracts with these stores. If you pull your support back, here's what's going to happen. And a lot of you understood what they were saying, and some of you absolutely did not and still not do understand what they are saying. But if you've ever had your products put into a store that is not yours, okay, I've had that happen several times. So I can talk about it a little bit. I've had my music placed into major brand stores, and I've also had my books placed into major stores. Some stores pay you up front for your inventory. Some stores do not pay you up front for your inventory. They pay you on the back end. Now, obviously, a business like Target is probably paying people maybe on the front end of that, or they're getting a cut of the sales, right? Some cuts are like 60-40, some cuts are 80-20, some cuts are 70-30. So, what those brands were trying to explain to a lot of people is if you choose not to buy their product that's already shelved, what is that going to do for them? Some brands will lose money, some brands will have to pay for the inventory that's not sold, which is a loss to the brand. Okay. And then also that data that is going to come out of that, of how much they did not sell, that data is going to negatively affect them with what a lot of people are suggesting. Well, go find somebody else that will house your product. Go partner with somebody else. Well, you will make that more difficult for them if the data shows that they could not sell their product where it already is located. If the data shows, because they're going to have to present that, the viability of their product, if it shows that they couldn't sell where they were, what makes you think another company, another brand is going to pick up their product and shelve it? So, what a lot of these business owners were asking us all to do is to not be so reactionary and to think through what you're asking them to do. It doesn't mean that they're a sellout, as has been posited by lots of people. It doesn't mean that they're a sellout. It means they're asking you to understand how business works. Again, even with some of our communities, some of us are not in regions where we have a whole lot of options to choose from. I lived in a rural part of Virginia for quite a bit of time. In our major stores, let me tell you, we had two. We had Walmart and we had Belk. That was it. So, again, when you're telling people to boycott, in your context, it may make sense to boycott Walmart, Target, and whoever else, right, is rolling back their initiatives because you have plenty of options. So, in your context, it makes sense to boycott them. If you are in another context where you don't have that many options, period, you don't have, like the space I lived in, we did not have a bus system. Okay. So if you're in a more urban setting and you have access to plenty of stores, you have access to transport, you can get around and go to other stores very easily. You don't have the same constraints as somebody else. All right. So we have to stop giving people blanket suggestions and thinking that it fits everybody. And if somebody pushes back to say, this is what's happening in my context, we don't need to come at them and start bashing them because they don't have a purist model to go from or to go by based on the context in which they live. All right. So I don't think that we're being fair to each other in these conversations. And that was something that I wanted to point out, and that I did point out, but I was using someone else's post to point that out. And they asked me to take it down. So I did take it down. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about Black America and the merchant class. What is the merchant class? Who are the merchant? Who is the merchant class for us? The merchant class is our businessmen, our businesswomen, those who own their own corporations, those who own their own warehouses and distribution centers. I do have a post in the thread that is marked Black owned business on my page where we're having this conversation in detail so you can go and look at the statistics more specifically and you can take a look. We don't have a whole lot of just a spread out of Black owned businesses everywhere. A lot of our Black owned businesses are concentrated, particularly in the South, and the ones that are larger are sort of spread out. We have about four that are considered super large, meaning they're earning in the billions with revenue. And but a lot of our Black owned businesses are concentrated in certain cities. Okay. So, who was the merchant class? The merchant class was crucial for driving economic growth by facilitating trade, distributing goods across regions, and generating wealth through buying and selling. The merchant class is who generates wealth for the Black community. Notice I said generates wealth, not puts out wealth into the economy. Most of us in the Black community, we're known for our spending power. Spending power, okay? Spending power is not the same as your buying and selling power, which is why our buying and selling power is being attacked. Because if I can affect your economic floor for your community, you will have a hard time getting to build your political floor. And if you know the work of Dr. Claude Anderson and his work, Powernomics, you know a little bit about what I'm saying here. Okay? Before you can have a political flooring, you got to build an economic flooring. And part of snatching the economic flooring from Black America is to attack our merchant class, is to attack people's ability to be successful in business, to form businesses, to get business loans. That's an attack on your economic flooring for your community. That's your business base. It is your merchant class that helps to develop cities, spread ideas, contribute to the rise of new social classes like the middle class, to increase power and influence within your own society. It is essentially acting as a link between producers and consumers across distances. But as we just explained, we're concentrated primarily in some of the major cities. That's where most Black businesses are concentrated. Now, if you go look at the maps on where we're concentrated, you will also notice those are some of the same cities that they're doing these ICE raids on. All right. So all of these things are going to impact where we live. How many of our businesses are affected by these rollbacks and these pullbacks by people no longer wanting to support Black business owners? So if the companies are no longer wanting to support, and then Black people also turn their backs on those of us or those who are currently in these larger brands, then what's going to happen? We're just asking you to ask yourself the question: if the companies that have their products now have already decided we're no longer going to go forth with this initiative, we're no longer going to stack your items, and the items that are left there are also left there by the Black consumers who have decided they're not going to go in the stores, then what is going to happen to those businesses? Now, let me give you one more statistic. Of the Black businesses that we have, 97% of Black businesses are sole proprietorships. If you know what a sole proprietorship is, type the answer in the comment. What's a sole proprietorship? Let's see. Anybody know? All right, a sole proprietorship, thank you. A sole proprietorship is a business owned by one person. So think about that. When you hear, oh, we have millions of black businesses, we do. We have 3.5 million. We have 3.5 million, and guess how many black Americans there are in the United States? 43 million, including black people that are not considered descendants of African American enslaved is 46 million. So out of 46 million black people in the United States, 3 million have businesses. 3.5 million have businesses. That's not a lot when you're looking at the larger scale. Okay? So we need people to support those who are in business. And the reality is 97% of those businesses are run by one person. One. More points about the importance of the merchant class, and then I'm going to get out of your way. Number one, economic development. Economic development. Merchants play a role in the growth of your economy as a black people. Urbanization. Merchants help to develop towns and cities. When that business becomes a part of the culture and the commerce of a city, it helps with the development of the town and the city. Some people are like, well, why can't we have this? Why can't we have that? Why hasn't this store come here? Why hasn't this store come here? I asked the head of Albi a couple of weeks ago, the general, the what do you call it? Not the general manager, the district or regional manager that was in there. And I said, I noticed there's not a whole lot of Albis in this region. And he said, well, we look at the median income of a community. And if the community doesn't even meet the threshold of the median income, we're not coming there. We're not bringing anything there. So that's something else that we all, again, need to take into consideration. Political influence. With growing wealth, merchants gain political power. Power to influence the government policies related to trade and taxation. If we don't have enough of the business class, how are we going to be influencing policies around trade and taxation, which everybody is concerned about right now? Here's an obvious one: patronage of the arts. The business class, the merchant class, supports the artists and the scholars, contributing to the development of art and literature. These are the people who do the funding of the arts, the endowments of the arts, the funding of schools, scholarships, all of that. So again, if you're walking around saying it really doesn't matter about the business class for Black America, I want you to think again. That's what I want you to do. Just think again. Okay? Last thing on merchants. To protect the merchants in any culture, merchants often form guilds and organizations that set the standards for practice and quality control. Because the other thing, obviously, we hear is, well, if Black businesses had their own websites, we wouldn't be going through this. If Black businesses had their own warehouses, we wouldn't be going through this. If Black people went back to Black Wall Street, we wouldn't be going through this. In some respects, that's correct. But in another aspect, let's not be ahistorical and not recognize all of the Black towns that were formed, all of the Black businesses that were in operation, all of the do for self that has been and was going on. They were under a different kind of threat. They were under the threat of terrorism. They were under the threat of annihilation. They were under the threat of being burned down and bombed out. So in this country, you don't ever eliminate threat for starting something. You don't ever eliminate threat. Even if it wasn't all black town doing well, and there were many of them, we saw historically what happened to those who were doing well by themselves. So that's not the only issue. The issue now is, what will we do with what we have? Will we support black business wherever we find them? Because that is my reality. And anybody who has been following this page has been here for years now. Anybody who's been following this page will can go down the line in my history and see how many times we've called for boycotts. See how many times we've called for buy black specifically, buy black locally, buy black first. So we're not jumping on anybody's bandwagon. For 2 years in a row, we've asked people to only buy black between Black Friday and Martin Luther King's birthday. So the issue is buying black and supporting black wherever you find a black business, support it if you can. I go to my farmers market, I'm looking for black owned businesses out there. I go to my artist market, I'm looking for black owned businesses. We have a market in our community that sets up in front of the library once a month on Saturdays. I go out there and I support black businesses. You can go back through my videos where I'm actually showcasing some of the markets in my community where there are black businesses. So this can't just be a solitary moment for us. This has to become a way of life and a lifestyle. A way of life and a lifestyle. A way of life and a lifestyle. And now what I'm about to say is probably going to be funny, but I don't want anybody to get offended. Okay? In my community, I'm around quite a few of my Eastern European Jews. Quite a few. Quite a few. All right? Anytime I'm talking to them and ask them for a recommendation for something, they always refer me to another Eastern European Jew. I don't care what it is. If it's something in the health field, they're gonna refer me to them. If it's something with I was looking for a place to get a cake from. My husband likes a specific kind of cake. They referred me to a Jewish baker. Everything they refer me to all the time is other Jewish people. And when I go check out some of their work, it's mediocre. And I said to my husband, I said, you know what I have learned? If I ain't learned nothing else from them, they don't care who it is. They don't recommend them. They don't care if they mediocre. They are going to recommend them first. Say what you want to say about them. They're going to recommend their own first. And I'm going to leave it at that because I got to go. But I hope I have said something helpful today. I hope that you will consider how you carry out a boycott. We also have a thread on that. Boycotting versus targeted spending. All right. Consider those who are under contracts. Think about the larger picture of what is going on. Because if your merchant class can be pulled down, if your buying and selling power can be pulled down, it affects your political power in this country. And people think that you don't matter as a people because you don't bring anything to the buying, selling ending end of the nation. Not just the consuming end, the buying and selling end. Okay? All right. Thank you so much for your time and attention. um, I'm not sure how you can send me the stars. There should be something on there that says send stars. Let me see. I'm not sure. But if you want to give $1, if you appreciated what I had to say today and you want to support, you can give $1 to my Cash App, which is $Life Nation. Okay? Thank you again for your time and attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to go out and be light. Please support your business owners. Send them this video. Let them know that we're rooting for everybody black. That's not just a saying, it's got to become a lifestyle. Take care, be well, and most importantly, be light.